Hey, you want to see something really scary?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.
What was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Welcome to Fright Night.
Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Shad.
This week we're covering Final Destination Bloodlines.
Drinks all around. Family, you don't get to pick the one you get. Just gotta love the one you got.
I always knew this day would come.
I got it.
I don't think you got it.
I held him off for years.
Charlie, get up here.
He's a relentless son of a bitch. Won't stop till he finishes the job. Death is coming for our family.
I said, oh, 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 oh.
Grandma, what's happening to us?
Years ago, I had a premonition that started it all. I saw what death was about to do. I saved a lot of lives that night.
Everyone needs to get off the dance floor!
Lives that were never meant to be saved. But death doesn't like it when you mess with his plans. This book, it will show you everything you need to know to keep our family safe.
It all started with Grandma. Death is coming for us because we were never supposed to exist. Watch out!
Only by embracing death will it pass you by.
Maybe death's not actually coming for our family. Because that would be crazy.
Good luck.
So it has been 14 years since the last Final Destination movie.
Final Destination 5. Which I love. There was one called The Final Destination before that. They jumped the gun a little bit.
Yes. It's a long time for a sequel.
Yeah, well, we're coming up on 16 years for Friday the 13th now. It's about time.
I like how we're not talking about that, but you brought that up because it is constantly in your mind anytime there's a movie that...
It weighs on my heart. We need this. We need this.
The winter.
They could get this shit out once a year throughout the 80s. They can do it now. They're overthinking it.
First of all, Michael Myers is already 60s in the retirement home, okay, in these latest movies. Jason been a zombie ever since.
Well, that's fine. 1986.
He just need a rest. He's done. He's not coming back. See, but the thing about Final Destination is they could have 5,000 movies because death never is gonna go away. That's something that is just here to stay. It's like life, like birth. It's a cycle. It's part of the cycle.
Yeah.
So they can have a jillion movies. I feel like when I saw the first trailer, I was like, Bloodlines? Like, first of all, didn't we have a Hellraiser Bloodlines? I feel like there was a Hellraiser Bloodlines.
Yes, I believe so. Bloodline.
Bloodline. Okay.
It's part 4, the good one.
The one with Scott?
Yeah, Adam Scott.
So, I was like, where are they going with this? Like, why are we even doing this? You know? And now watching it, the new one, I I think this is the first movie that actually had me in tears because this is Tony Todd has reprised his role as Bloodworth.
You thought he might have been Death. It was speculated throughout. Maybe he was Death itself. Maybe he was, that he was Death, or that he was just a mortician that was creepy, or you were never really sure. He's been in all these now except for part 3 where he only appeared as a voice. He was the voice of the devil in part 3. The roller coaster was called something like the devil or whatever, but he was the voice of the devil. I don't know why he wasn't in that one. Maybe they just couldn't fit him in.
Maybe he was filming something else, or maybe they were like, he's not going to be in any of these. I mean, he doesn't need to be in every single one of them.
No, he doesn't.
Or why? I mean, I'm glad that he was. I like his character. It's you have to have the person that's wise, that's gonna help
the guy that's going to be there for your exposition. And
Mr. Exposition.
Yeah, he was great at giving the exposition for the stuff because he told them what they needed to hear, but he also scared the shit out of them at the same time.
Yes.
Because it's Tony Todd talking to you about death, so of course you're going to be a little afraid.
Yeah, also he was a mortician.
Yeah.
So
he's standing there dressed all in black looking down on you because he looks down on everybody.
He may or may not have bloody hands.
Yeah.
Cracking someone's skull open, something weird.
I've always loved the fact that this whole franchise started out as an X-Files episode that got pitched and didn't make it, and then they just the Darren Morgan and James Wong pulled it off of the scrap pile and used it as a movie. The guy who wrote the original episode that was submitted as an X-File, or the original screenplay that was submitted as an X-File episode was Jeffrey Reddick, which is why Dr. Reddick shows up in this one. That does sound like a good name, though, like Dr. Reddick. That would be a good, creepy doctor to do something evil, you know?
He does deliver bad news.
Yeah, he does deliver some bad news in this one.
Now, we will say, before we go any further, this is a spoiler cast.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some crazy things that happen in this movie.
We're going to talk about every single drop of blood in this film. Oh, wait. We cannot do a podcast that's going to last 3 hours.
All right, so if you've been warned, from here on out, there's going to be spoilers.
So this one goes... Oh, well, before we start, let's give a little... we should have done this. We tried to do this with Halloween, but I think we fucked up that timeline, to be honest, because it's kind of all over the place. So... so sorry. See? He's coming for me. Final Destination 5... we're going to do timeline. So Final Destination 5 is a prequel.
Yeah.
So it's number 1. Final Destination, the original 2000 film, that's number 2. That's the one with Devon Sawa, guys. Final Destination 2 is number 3. Final Destination 3 is number 4. Then you have The Final Destination, which is 2009. That's number 5.
Yep.
And Final Destination Bloodlines is the last one, which is the one that we're covering today. So that is the order. If you wanted to watch these in that order, in the actual timeline order, you can do so before watching this film. If you have never seen any of these movies, I think you would be okay with watching this film, because I feel like this film kind of ties up all the other films, but then at the same time kickstarts and starts in a sense, it closes the chapter. So now the next set of films, because we know that's going to be a thing, is going to be about some other, some other people.
Well, the beauty of those movies was you could kind of pick up on any of them if you hadn't seen any of the others. Because they all started with the same setup. Somebody has a vision of an accident that's about to happen. They stop it, and then death comes for everyone. If you hadn't seen part 1, part 2 worked on its own just fine. Same way with all the others. And they were all great setups. Of course, the first one with the plane crash. Everyone's had the nightmare about the plane exploding when you take off or crash, whatever. The second one, the highway wreck. There's so many memes now about the log truck and how no one will drive behind it because of that movie. The third one, everybody has the nightmare too if you're going to be on the roller coaster and it's going to go fucking crazy and kill everybody. Part 4, that one's a little less because it's a wreck that happens at a racetrack. And I don't know, I've never been to a racetrack, so I've never really worried about the cars going crazy and killing everyone,
Yeah.
So that one didn't hit as hard to me because the other things I felt like were things that could happen to me. Part 5 is a bridge collapse. That, that's happened here in Florida. The Sunshine Skyway fell in that one like 20, 30 years ago. It just collapsed. So, that kind of shit will happen here. So all those were a thing. And then this one, Bloodlines, is about a building collapsing. Because you've got what looks like the Space Needle, even though it's not that. It just looks similar to like the Space Needle. That is, a restaurant with a dance floor on it. And it's obviously built by the lowest bidder because this thing falls apart just from people dancing.
Well, to be fair, she does, Iris Campbell, she does state that, or it's stated to her that they were 5 months ahead of schedule, which
for a reason,
not a good thing. People cut corners, and then boom, people are dying.
And I gotta say, this is one of those things that as soon as they were in the place and the band is playing, and the mom went down to the little boy, dressed up all cute in these little suspenders and everything, I was like, oh, that's baby Tony Todd. That has to be baby Tony Todd right there. And sure enough, that was baby Tony Todd. And I think this might be the first one where he gets a name. Because the others, they just kind of talked to him. They never really named him.
He's a
JB. JB, which stands for...
it was like William Bloodworth.
Yeah, William James Bloodworth. Yeah, William James Bloodworth. Let me find that. Yeah, William John Bloodworth.
So, this part, the beginning part is set in the 60s. Iris Campbell is the one that sees, who's played by... I thought she was Basinger is her last name. Alec Basinger, I believe was her name. I thought she was related to, obviously Kim Basinger, but she is not. No relation. So she's out. She has the premonition. What I like about this film is usually when they have the premonitions, it all happens. We see it all play through, and then they kind of get like sucked back to reality, and then you see what actually happens, like how she was able to prevent it, but they don't show you that right off the bat. They
switched it up a little bit in this one.
And that kind of throws you off because obviously you have Iris Campbell, who's Caucasian. Eric literally becomes the husband, because he proposes to her the needle, and they go off and have a family, and then here wakes up like not a Caucasian person. So I was like, wait a second, how is that? I was kind of thrown off, but you find out that because of what Iris experienced in a time frame that kind of like really fucked her up, and she had a son and a daughter. And, she kind of like was removed from their lives. And the son and the daughter obviously grow up. They have families of their own. And the daughter...
This is her granddaughter. This is Iris' granddaughter that we're going to follow.
Alice's granddaughters who we're following. Her granddaughter keeps having this recurring dream of a woman she's never met. But she knows that her grandma's name is Iris. So she's like, well, this has to be my grandma. But I don't know why I'm dreaming about something I've never met. Never met. And the sky view. And the, a terrible tragedy, the accident that occurs there. And this is literally wrecking her life because she's constantly having this dream every single night, and it's affecting her to the point where she's on academic probation.
Yeah, and the roommate is like, you've got to do something about this because I can't deal with you waking up screaming every night anymore. This is fucking up my life too.
So you have her going home, and when she goes home, she has been estranged from her family.
Yeah.
Off to college, living her life. They don't really explain why. Really, they don't really get into that detail, but it doesn't really, you don't need to know that for character development that much. When you have her go look for the grandma, okay? Let me tell you. When she arrives to this place, which looks like it's like a mix of like Forks from Twilight, because it's like the same, like all the high trees, the pointy trees, you know.
Yeah.
Winding road, you know, Shining-esque, you know, going to like some fucking very isolated place. You think, how could this woman be hiding from death here? This literally looks like a death trap, this place.
Yeah.
There are the craziest things here. You got like pointed out trees that are sticking up out of everywhere. You got barbed wire. There's all it looks like a compound times 500.
It looked like the compound that they went to hide in Spellbinder when the witches came after them and they were fighting them in the thing. They ended up burning the whole thing down.
Yes.
Yeah. That reminded me of that. I was like, oh no, the karate witch is going to come after him now.
Oh my gosh. So she finally meets her grandmother, and of course the grandma's talking to like random things. I did like this part of the film because she's talking to Death, and we all know from those that have watched all the previous films that Death does, you know, have a weird sense of humor and likes to do weird random shit. Like, you know, she touched the
salt. So somehow the salt is going to fall over.
Yes.
And, you know, overflow a cup that will turn on the stove somehow, and then the stove will explode.
Yes. Well, for her at this moment, it was she kind of like grabbed her pills on, and she kind of like swiped over the microscopic like magnifying glass that she had there. The magnifying glass was in a position where the sun was hitting it, and the beam of light that was coming off of there was literally across the room on a burlap rope that was holding a lamp,
burning that through.
Yeah, and it's burning that through, and you don't even know where that's going to even lead once that falls. What, you know, how that's going to react and eventually kill this woman, but she catches it. And I just thought that was really hilarious. But of course her granddaughter thinks she's insane, because anyone that you know has an elderly person talking to no one,
you're gonna start to think they're crazy.
Like, she has her crazy leather-bound journal full of all the ways that Death has taken out these families, because she saved hundreds of people. And those people had decades of children. Those people had children who had grandchildren who, you know.
So now Death's coming for them all. But because there were so many, it's taken so long and so many different ways, no one really noticed a pattern like they did with the others.
Exactly, because it's like generations.
Yeah. So when the grandpa dies because of a car wreck, they don't think anything. Or he falls and cracks his head open, they don't think anything.
Yeah.
It's not like when all the survivors from the plane crash keep dying one by one, and people start going, yeah, this is getting weird.
Yeah, and also all these people went off, probably moved to different states. I'm sure they didn't all just stay in that state, in that city. You know, they went off to have lives. So she spent her whole life, dedicated her life tracking these people, tracking their deaths, you know, and eventually it falls down to that she and the little boy she saves, Tony Todd, are the last two, or part of. She starts if she dies, that's gonna fuse her side of the family to start dropping like flies.
Yeah,
then eventually it's gonna go back to Tony Todd, who's the last one.
Yeah. And I got
the Campbells and the Lewises.
Yeah, and you know, we've all seen the trailer by now where the guy is in the tattoo parlor and he gets the nose ring caught in the thing. And this is what I loved about this one this was a great misdirect, because you thought for sure from what you saw in the trailer and everything, this guy's toast when this happens.
Oh, hells yes.
But then you see it and it's like, nope, I managed to survive it. And she's like, how the hell did you survive this? Then you find out the mom has to say, yeah, he's not my husband's actual kid, so he might be immune to this.
Yeah, because after that, there's so many different ways that this guy could die within like fucking 4 minutes that they show him. They're walking down the street towards the house, and all these crazy things happen, but he avoids every single one of all the attempts that you think are attempts, because it's just like, okay, he just barely walked away with his life on that one.
Yeah.
However, to jump to the end, I have to say that his death is actually the worst death, I think, out of all of the deaths, even though because they do something that try to fuck over the timeline, try to skip over a death or end the whole like thing for their family, he gets taken out, and also his death is the most hilarious death.
Yeah.
Because they're in a hospital, they put some fucking machine that has like some magnetic...
It's the MRI machine, and for some reason it gets cranked to like industrial mode, it says.
Yes, which is like anything that has any kind of like steel, whatever,
and
it's
this
magnetized.
Guy is pierced everywhere.
When we mean everywhere, we mean everywhere. I was shocked that they even went there, and it was really funny.
Ripped his nipple rings right out.
I was more concerned about the penis ring.
Yeah,
I was very
pulled in there because Tony Todd told him and said, "Look, if you're not on the list, death will leave you alone unless you fuck with it. Don't fuck with death." He fucked with death, so of course he got taken out.
That scene also pissed me off, and I hate when they do this in horror films. And I understand why this happens, but and any movie, we need to do something in order to prevent something, in order to survive, in order to whatever. And we're gonna take 25 minutes to accomplish this task that takes 2 seconds. That shit drove me crazy. The whole time I'm just like, just fucking eat the peanut butter cup! Like, he took forever to eat it. He could have avoided all of that. But of course, then we wouldn't have a film. So there you go.
So now we've all seen the preview too, where the dad gets taken out with the lawnmower.
My god, horrific.
That was rough times for him. And the other son has a violent peanut allergy.
Yeah, and that's where the thing comes.
Which apparently this actor actually has this in real life. So, that must be weird for him.
Yeah, I don't even know how they even... I mean, obviously that can was empty and he wasn't really eating what we think he's eating, because he would have died in real life.
And they can make it look like anything.
I want to say that the makeup for him... For the peanut allergy, the reaction he gets is fucking spot on. Yeah. It looks exactly how it does when someone goes into that.
He's got that, the throat swollen, the face is swollen.
Yeah, the eyes are all like bulging and red, it looks nasty, bad swollen.
He's getting into Arnold territory at the end of Total Recall.
Now, I wanna mention that when you are watching the beginning of this film, there is, affluent people are going to this. It's an opening of this, like, I wouldn't say like Space Needle, like kind of thing, right? And
the faux needle?
The faux needle. It's 436, fucking feet up in the fucking air or whatever. This little asshole, who it's like an affluent kid's fucking asshole, spoiled Ryan, like just a jerk.
Yep.
You fucking hate this kid. Like, this is the kid that if you saw him in real life in the street, you probably throw a tomato at him because you just fucking hate his guts. Mind you, he got his. Okay.
Oh, he gets his. I was the psycho that laughed out loud in the theater when he got his.
Oh no, I was also. I was screaming a lot of the times because a lot of the deaths are just so. Not that they're sudden, because they're gonna die, because they tell you the order that the people are gonna die, right? So you're expecting it. Just the way they die, it's just so horrific and just so, I don't want to say sudden, but it's just like, holy shit, you get just a reaction, you're just jumping out of your chair. I was also screaming like a psycho. And I was laughing my ass off when that fucking kid died, because it was just like, and it was a classic Acme like death.
Yeah, the Coyote would be proud to go out this way.
Hell yes. So funny. Him and his 1965 penny.
Yep.
Okay.
Which that plays into it later.
Oh my god, this penny just ruined everyone's life.
Well, sometimes they say a bad penny, turns up. Well, this time it was definite. The bad penny turned up.
I really enjoyed this film. I loved all the kills. You know, there was character development, you know, between the cousins. You feel for, you know, everyone who's in the family. I feel very, very terrible for the Campbell side because that whole thing is eradicated. She lost all of her children, her husband, like, and it seems like this happened in like a matter of days.
Yeah, it was just a few days.
With the exception of the last, which you don't really know from the moment that, and I know we said we were going to say spoilers, but from the moment that that happens to the end, you don't really know how long, because it seemed like it wasn't like the next day kind of thing, you know, but nevertheless. So yeah, great character development. The kills were awesome.
So what was your favorite kill out of this one?
You know, I want to say that my favorite kill has to be the illegitimate brother.
Oh yeah, the one in the MRI machine.
Yeah, which technically he's not really part of the bloodlines, but he was my favorite kill because it was just so terrible.
Yeah, he went out hard. And I think that one's great. And then just there's one that happens that's just at the beginning where it's a guy who gets caught in the elevator and the elevator just falls and then just kind of rips that guy in half and smashes him at the same time.
Who was also an asshole.
Yeah, he deserved it. And you're like, yes, he died horribly and I loved it.
It was very bloody.
Yeah, this movie is buckets of blood.
There's so much blood, and there's a lot of flesh. Oh, that one scene! I'm gonna tell you the scene that really got under my fucking skin. No pun intended. So, Eric proposes to Iris. Okay, the ring, your ring is a little tight on her finger. Okay, it was hard to put on
because he didn't realize she was pregnant.
Yeah.
So he got the ring for her non-pregnant sized finger.
And she's literally thrown on the side of the building and she has Tony Todd in her hands. Or with one of her arms. And her ring gets caught between two fucking
pieces of rebar sticking out of the side of it. And she's only holding on by the ring being caught there.
So she not only does she have her weight, but she's also holding this kid, and they're like, there's nothing under them, obviously. They're just flaring in the air. So yeah, the whole weight is just being held by the rebarb and the ring. And slowly her skin detaches from her hand.
She just gets skinned like what's the Stephen King one? Where she has to pull her in the handcuff.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the one with the monster guy. I forgot the name of that one.
Where she has to deglove herself.
Oh, constant reader.
Yes, I know. I'm bad.
I know. I'm like literally causing. I keep hearing in my mind. I'm like, oh, The Good Wife, but that's not it. So yes, it's just like that where she has to like deglove herself. Her whole finger just like literally just falls right off. It's just like just gets skinned. Oh.
In Gerald's game, that's it.
Gerald's game.
Yeah, she gets Gerald's gamed. Yeah, it just rips all the skin and like part of the muscle off the face.
Looked real. Okay?
Yeah, and it's just like, that's gonna hurt all the way down until you land on the spikes below.
Burn. It was a burning sensation, really bad.
And yeah, that one got me too. But now, there's a lot of them in here that are very cringeworthy that you're just like, oh Jesus Christ. And I do love that there's a lot of misdirects in this where you think something's going to happen and someone just goes, hold on, wait, no. And they go move something out of the way and go, there we go. And then that doesn't happen. You're like, okay, that's good. I like that.
Now, I do want to mention, and I'm going to try to get through this without tearing up and crying like a baby. Tony Todd, as we mentioned, is reprising his role in this movie. They find out JB knows there's one survivor. They all go to the hospital that he works in. There's a lot of Easter eggs in this film from the other Final Destination movies. I'm just going to throw that out there as well. And they go and they have a whole discussion with him. In that discussion, he talks about his relationship with Iris, how she found him, they created a friendship, he helped her, build the cabin that she was in, and they're asking him for help. They want to know, how can you, go around, get over this, to just beat it. And he tells them, either you have to kill someone.
Yeah, you gotta kill someone, then you get the years that they have left. Which I do love that there's a part where the one brother,
that part's so funny.
He just looks at the babies in the hospital and they go, "No, you're not killing the baby." And he's like, "Of course not. I never even thought of it." And then he just keeps looking at the baby like, "Could I though?" But yeah, and he tells them basically the same thing he's done in the other movies. He tells them what they need to do to survive, or that like you need to die, and then once you've already died and then you're brought back, that will take you off a death's list because you technically died.
Now they're desperate. They're asking for help, and he already had a box ready. He picked up the box. He goes to the door. He turns around and tells them, basically like, there's nothing I can do. I've been giving everyone advice all these years. He's tired. Iris. You find out in her meeting with her granddaughter that Iris actually, Death found another way to get her, and she got cancer. And unfortunately, Tony Todd also has become ill. Tony Todd's character has become ill, so he states that, Death also found his way to get him, and he's also ill and dying, which he was in real life. And, he turns around and he just tells them that life is precious, to, every moment is a blessing. Every moment is special. Do what you can with the time that you have left. And you find out that the directors, he kind of like that whole monologue right there when he's standing at the door. Tony Todd was literally telling that to his fans.
Yeah, he was saying, this is goodbye. It's time for me to go. Time for me to retire. I'm not going to be in this anymore. I'm out.
Yeah.
And to, enjoy your life. And it sucks because I was able to meet him a couple of times at conventions. He was a super nice guy. Sometimes when you meet those people at conventions, they just sign the autograph, say thank you, and go. He wasn't like that. He talked to everybody about something. I may have mentioned it before, but I talked to him about, he did a series of movies in the mid-90s with Christopher Reeve, a series of Westerns. And when I worked at Hastings, those movies rented like crazy. And I told him that, those movies rented like crazy, and that they were especially popular among African American people because there's not a lot of Westerns that feature African Americans. And that they were all crazy about those. And, he seemed very happy to hear that. He was like, the only thing I don't like about that is that I took a straight salary on that instead of a royalties thing. So I'm not getting any back end off of that, but I'm glad to know that people loved him and all this. And he was like, yeah, they should make more Westerns. And, we got to talk about that for a little bit, which was nice because it's always nice when you can talk to him about something that they seem legitimately interested in,
He would have loved Sinners.
Oh, yeah. He would have probably loved that.
If he could have, he probably would have been in it.
Yeah, I could easily see them putting him in that.
Hell
been
yeah,
any of
he
those
would have been amazing.
Yeah, but and then the other time I saw him, I had got the special limited edition Candyman soundtrack, the one that's like the honey gold, and this, and he talked about we had the discussion about how Candyman's a great movie, but the music in Candyman elevates it to an amazing movie. And it's like Halloween.
Yeah.
Halloween without the music is a good slasher, but the music has become so iconic now that it's the same way with Candyman. That music just instantly conjures up images of that movie when you hear it. So, it's a shame that he got sick and he had to go. I mean, 69 is too young. And he always seemed like a great guy, and I wish we could get more with him.
Yeah, it was sad. I did cry, and I said I wasn't going to cry now, but I cried, and then in the end, They do it in memory of, and he is the last one that death is gonna come for. So they left that as like figuratively, literally.
Yeah, he's gonna pass, but you just don't see it.
Yeah, which.
But it's weird because Tony Todd's one of those guys that, I've seen him in things my whole life now. Like, it's weird that he's not going to be in any more movies. Because besides, the Candyman, he's in the reboot in Night of the Living Dead playing Ben. He's amazing in that. Which we should cover that because its 35th anniversary is this year.
Okay.
And, of course, he was in Star Trek Next Generation playing Worf's brother. Great in that. He comes back in Deep Space Nine. He plays the adult Jake Sisko in an episode that everybody loves. It's considered one of the best of Deep Space Nine, called The Visitor.
Episode.
Yeah.
Great episode.
He comes back as Kern in Deep Space Nine. He comes back in Voyager as a different character. He showed up in all the things that he could. And he's one of those guys that...
And he killed it every time.
Yeah.
Killed it every time.
He's another one of those ones that's like... He's a Ron Perlman that... When Ron Perlman's in a bad movie, it's instantly made better by Ron Perlman being in it. And it's the same thing with Tony Todd. He takes a mediocre movie and makes it into a good movie. And a good movie goes great when he's in it. So he's going to be missed.
He sure will be.
Yeah, this one's a 3.5 Knives, and you should go out and see it. It's a great next installment in the franchise. It's going to be sad if there's no more Tony Todd in it, but I kind of hope they find a way to use like a voice clip of him or something in it. Like for the third one, like he did the voice of just the devil on the ride. It'd be nice if they did a little bit with that, like him in the next one, if there's a little bit of a voice or something.
The only thing I could think about, and obviously, have to pay whoever he had, left behind, royalties or whatever for him if they do decide to do that, is that they find some kind of like tape recording of his or something like that.
I'm sure those movies all have outtakes that they didn't use.
Well, in the trailer, there's a scene in the trailer that's not in the film.
Yeah.
So it would be great, but if it doesn't, it's fine. He said his goodbye, and he his character went off, and it is what it is. But it would be nice to, if they did do it, it'd be nice. But if they didn't, it'd be okay. I have to say 3.5 Knives. I was gonna go with 4 Knives, but I'm gonna stick with 3.5 Knives. I'm not taking off the half knife. I'm the half knife. I don't have no justification why I wouldn't give it 4 Knives, but it's for me. It's a solid 3.5 Knives.
Yeah.
Now, it gets 3.5 Knives for me. I'm gonna say why it gets more than just 3. Because it has been 14 years, okay, since we've had a Final Destination movie. And this one, I think, is probably the best one out of all the other ones. In my opinion, I love the first one, because it's the first one, right? But this one was very good. I think the reason why I say it would be the best one, it's been such a long time. Look, there's movies that come out now that you have to wait maybe a year or 2 for the sequel. The sequel comes and it's shit. Okay? This is 14. It's a whole decade. Almost 2 decades. We were 6 years shy of it being 2 decades since the last movie.
We got like a decade and a half almost. And
so it's
they
impressive.
Came back and they killed it.
It's impressive that, the continuity, they were able to fill in those gaps and tell you kind of where it started, even down to explaining like the Tony Todd character. Now, for those of you out there that are like doing a lot of math, I didn't do the math, so we don't know how old this man is in the film, and we don't know when in the 60s, because the penny was from 1965, so that means that that could be from...
He looked like he was maybe 5 years old in the movie.
Yeah, he was no older than 5.
So, and then that's been 60 years, so he'd be around 65 in the movie.
Which, in reality, you said he passed away at 69, so it's...
Close enough.
It's close enough. So I'm going to say yes. The continuity with the aging of him and then all the other things is fine. like I said, there's a lot of Easter eggs. When they're going through the book, you're going to see the other previous deaths.
Yeah.
You know, when they're talking about, we're trying to remember the hospital that Tony Todd's character works in, they say Clear River, and that is literally Ali Larter's name from Final Destination Part 2. They mentioned the lone survivor, which is Kimberly Cormick. So they mention her. She technically isn't a lone survivor because Thomas survived, but they didn't. And my justification on that is she survived because she technically died, and when she was revived, that kind of eradicated anyone that was still alive that was gonna die part of that set. So they're not gonna count the other ones because it was only they only survived because she was able to, you know, die and come back and mess up Def's plan. But yeah. 3.5 nights for both of us. Go see it. It's out in the theater now. Like you said, you're gonna go back to the timeline and start, you know, with those movies and watch this one if you wanted to. But if you don't, you're fine to watch this one as a standalone. You're not missing anything. They kind of fill in kind of like the gaps there. And yeah, it's a good movie. Really, really liked it. And, you know, Tony Todd, you'll be missed. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Jump Scare the Horror Podcast. Stay tuned to the horror.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.